Continue talking about getting to know each other. And this story that we have for this lesson is called The Other Path to School. And we're going to talk about what does it mean to have something in common with someone else? What is something that you have in common with someone else here? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. See, sometimes you don't know, when you don't know someone or you don't know a person very well, it's hard to imagine that you might have something in common with them, like you might have something that's the same. And so sometimes if you talk to people or you just spend time with them, it helps you get to know one another. And then you find ways that you're the same, as well as maybe some ways that you're different. And in this story, we're going to have two friends who are a little reluctant, which means they're not really enthusiastic. They're not very excited to talk to some new kids about from school. But when they do, they realize that they have some things that are the same or some things that are in common. And as we listen to the story, I want you to pay attention to what the characters figure out that they have in common. Every morning at 8 o'clock, Mia and Jordan met at the great oak tree in the middle of the park to walk to school together. They always took the shortest path from their treehouse to Harmony Street School so that they would have lots of time to play before the bell rang. One morning, they raced to school quickly, eager to have another contest hanging from the monkey bars. They both loved the monkey bars. When they got to the schoolyard, they ran straight to the jungle gym. They stared right at each other and tried not to laugh as they hung on to the monkey bars for as long as they could. "Whew! I give up," said Mia, letting go of her bar. "My arms are tired." Jordan dropped to the ground a second later and laughed. "Finally! I thought you were going to beat me for the 4th day in a row. You're really strong." The kids stood up, brushed the sand off their clothes, and saw Max and his twin sister Maddie dashing through the gate on the other side of the playground, just as the bell began to ring. Max and Maddie were new in their class this year. Mia and Jordan didn't know them very well yet, but they did know that every day they got to school at the very last minute. The next morning, Mia and Jordan met at the treehouse and headed down the path to school. They heard some laughter in the distance and turned around to see Max and Maddie walking down a different path that went in the opposite direction. "Where are those two going?" Mia wondered. Jordan shrugged. "I don't know, but that's probably why they never get to school on time." "Maybe they don't know the shortcut," said Mia. "We should ask them to walk with us." "But we don't even know them," answered Jordan. "Wouldn't that be kind of weird? What would we talk about all the way to school?" "Well," said Mia, "let's at least find out where they're going." They decided to follow Max and Maddie down the other path. It was hard to keep up with the twins because they were walking so fast. By the time Mia and Jordan reached the curve in the path, Max and Maddie had disappeared. "Well, now we'll never know where they're going," said Jordan. Suddenly they heard giggling from behind some nearby bushes, and out jumped Max and Maddie. "You were hiding from us," said Mia. "Well, you were following us," replied Max. Jordan and Mia's cheeks turned red. "Yeah, we were," they admitted. "Why didn't you just ask us where we were going?" wondered Max. Jordan looked at him shyly. "Wouldn't it have been weird if we just started talking to you?" "Actually, it would be nice to have others to talk to on the way to school," said Max. "We don't really know anyone else yet." "Hey, everybody," called Maddie from down the path. "Let's hurry so we're not late for school." The 4 kids hurried down the path until they came to a tree with a pile of rocks next to the trunk. "This is the place," said Max. He quickly climbed up the tree and scooted onto a sturdy branch. Then he pointed ahead, saying excitedly, "Look at this." It was a bird's nest with 3 tiny eggs. "We found this last week, so we've been coming every morning to see if the eggs have hatched," Maddie explained. "I've never seen a baby bird," said Jordan, "but I do have a pet parrot. He's really funny when he tries to imitate me. Sometimes he even tries to imitate the doorbell when it rings." Maddie laughed and said, "Well, our dogs bark every time the doorbell rings, so it sounds like we both have some really noisy pets." "You can come up and see the nest as long as you don't bother the eggs," called Max from above. Or you can look through my binoculars, offered Maddie. I don't like climbing high like Max does, so I just use these. Jordan and Mia thought about the monkey bars and laughed. We're pretty good at climbing too, they answered, and they scrambled up the tree to take a closer look at the nest. Pretty soon it was time to go to school, so the kids headed back down the path together and talked about all the other places they had explored in the park. Mia and Jordan showed their new friends about the dry creek bed with the shiny river stones, and Max and Maddie told them about their hiding place under a huge weeping willow tree. The kids decided to meet at the park after school to see what new places they could discover together. Just as they arrived at school, the bell began to ring. The four kids walked into their classroom together. We're going to stop there for right now, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion, some activities about it. And so if you'd like to go back and listen to the story again, you can. Otherwise, we will talk to you again soon. Goodbye.